At the negotiations in Abu Dhabi, Russia may have been offered an energy truce with Ukraine. This was extensively reported by the Financial Times, referencing its own internal sources. The proposal concerns a potential ceasefire agreement under which Moscow would stop striking Ukrainian energy infrastructure and Kyiv would cease attacks on oil refineries and shadow fleet tankers. Z publics are also now very actively spreading information that Russia has allegedly been forbidden to strike Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Z blogger Romanov Light writes that on January 28, 2026, a document was received by the Russian troops at the highest command level, containing a ban on striking energy facilities, which has been in effect since 7 a.m. on January 29th. At the same time, the Z blogger claims that internal information is being spread orally, alleging that the restrictions are in effect until February 3, 2026. It is noteworthy that the energy truce may be in effect precisely at the time of the negotiations, which will take place on February 1st in Abu Dhabi. Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov, dodged the question about an energy truce between Ukraine and Russia. "I can't comment on that at this time," Peskov said. "They're taking Russia's temperature," is how Anatoly Krapchinsky, a reserve officer of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Air Force, commented on the information campaign about the alleged energy truce. He noted that nothing has changed and that Russian military correspondents cannot be trusted. Konstantin Nemichev, founder of the Kraken unit, commented on this information, noting, "It looks like an energy truce is in effect on both sides. We'll see how it's implemented." Just in January, Russia carried out at least 3 massive attacks on Ukraine, resulting in widespread problems with heating, electricity, and water supply in residential buildings and cities across the country. After the first of these, on January 9th, more than 6,000 buildings in Kyiv were left without heating. On the night of January 20th, Russia once again attacked energy infrastructure facilities in the capital. As a result, 5,635 apartment buildings were left without heat. On the night leading into Saturday, January 24th, and early in the morning, Russian forces once again launched a massive attack on Ukraine with missiles and drones. The main target of the attack was Kyiv, where Russia again struck critical infrastructure facilities. At the same time, almost all of January in Kyiv was marked by freezing temperatures, with the air temperature dropping to minus 17 degrees.
Ukraine and Russia seem to have potentially entered into what looks like an energy truce, but that is only the case at first glance. There are currently a growing number of widespread reports circulating online, specifically in Telegram channels run by Russian military correspondents, claiming that both sides, Ukraine and Russia, are supposedly halting strikes on each other's critical energy infrastructure, which looks like a specific kind of formal mutual energy truce. This was stated by the founder of the Ukrainian intelligence unit, Kraken, Konstantin Nemichev, commenting on the appearance of such publications. However, the key question remains, is this truce actually real and how long will it last?
Well, you'll find more details in our report. You're watching the Glavred channel. I'm your host, Yevhen Serov. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Here is a summary of the latest information. Various claims have recently appeared suggesting that Russia has allegedly imposed a ban on strikes against Ukraine's energy facilities. And shortly after these claims, reports emerged that a similar ban is in effect for strikes on energy infrastructure within Russia itself. Nemichev observed that it appears as though an energy truce is in effect on both sides, and further emphasized that observers will be closely monitoring to see exactly how these bans are enforced, if they exist at all. However, representatives of some Ukrainian Telegram channels, such as Mykolaiv Vanyok, clarify that there is still no final decision between the sides to stop strikes on energy infrastructure, and urge Ukrainians to remain vigilant, since a cessation of shelling is not guaranteed. It is important to note that these reports about an energy truce. This is certainly not the first attempt to reach a formal agreement on reducing strikes against critical infrastructure. Even during previous negotiations, particularly those involving the US and Saudi Arabia, Ukraine and Russia were technically able to agree on a cessation of strikes against energy facilities as well as targets in the Black Sea. although these agreements were accompanied by a significant number of violations and discrepancies, including Moscow's prerequisite condition regarding the lifting of sanctions. Nevertheless, the effectiveness of the supposed energy truce remains extremely uncertain and open to debate. Ukrainian experts and official sources point out and emphasize that no official international agreements on halting strikes against the energy sector have been registered so far, and statements by Russian military correspondents cannot be considered verified or confirmed facts. Various military analysts note that such reports are more likely to reflect strategic informational attempts to portray a de-escalation, rather than any substantive or actual agreements on a formal ceasefire. Furthermore, there are other assessments of what is currently happening. The head of the Parliamentary Committee on Energy, Andriy Geros, stated that it is unlikely to count on a quick energy truce with Russia. According to him, there is no discussion of any real cessation of strikes, and it is important to prepare for the upcoming winter period, which is expected to remain difficult due to weather factors and the current state of the energy system. He emphasized that such a truce scenario is only theoretically possible, but Ukraine must proceed from the harsher realities of the current situation. The historical context is also important. In previous years, there were indeed attempts to agree on a cessation of strikes on the energy sector during certain negotiations, but these agreements were regularly violated, often soon after being announced. For example, the agreements to suspend strikes on energy facilities previously reached with U.S. mediation did not have a lasting effect. A few days after they came into force, Russia carried out strikes on Kherson and other targets, which led to criticism from the Ukrainian authorities as a clear violation of the truce conditions. Thus, for now, it appears that this is not a full-fledged energy truce in the legal or diplomatic sense, but rather a deliberate attempt by both sides to demonstrate a reduction in the intensity of strikes on critical infrastructure, possibly as part of tactical considerations, or efforts to test the level of tension within both Russia and Ukrainian society. Analysts caution that a confirmed international agreement or a clear monitoring mechanism for the implementation of such truces is still a significant distance away, and these current reports should not be interpreted as a formal, objective, and verifiable ceasefire.